So environmental engineering is essentially kind of a discipline that is kind of at the interface, at the boundary between the natural and the built environment. So in that sense, it spans across engineering and environmental and earth sciences in that sense. And there's elements of both within the program, of course. And it kind of deals with the impacts of the built environment, the things that people do, humans do, on the natural environment, and also vice versa in terms of impacts of the natural environment, extreme events and things like that on the built environment and human activities. So the program itself aims to provide a technical understanding of these interactions between the built and the natural environment. So there's a lot of technical training for specific aspects of that, and also a lot of practical skills that we deliver in the program that help us to characterize and monitor and measure these processes and to come up with solutions and implement those solutions that can address these challenges that we observe between the natural and built environment. So in that sense, environmental engineering is one of those key disciplines that helps to support and underpin sustainable development with an understanding and practical skills that help to kind of drive this, and also to find and then also put into action and implement solutions that help to mitigate, or if it's already baked in, to adapt to the climate change challenges that we face. And with that end, the program and the discipline has a lot of interactions and a lot of overlaps with the Sustainable Development Goals as they've been published by the UN. So if you think about things like clean water and sanitation, sustainable cities and communities, affordable and clean energy, life below water and above land, and all these kind of things, that's where environmental engineers, people who've gone through a training like ours, can contribute to and do contribute to. Okay. So a little bit more about the program itself then. So the MSc Environmental Engineering program here at Queen's, it kind of reflects that broad discipline, and is a program that's kind of accessible to students from different backgrounds coming to the program. And it provides typically a pathway for a career in the likes of environmental consultancy, regulatory agencies, and environmental management, and the engineering industry, both here in the UK as well as abroad. In terms of the setup, we'll talk about this in a little bit more detail in a minute. The program allows students to choose from a variety of elective modules so that students can kind of tailor the program to their particular interests, also keeping in mind that students may come from a different background and they have a particular interest in this discipline, which is rather broad, and then they can tailor this with the elective modules. The program is offered either as a full-time course over the period of 1 year, or some students also do the program as part-time students, then it takes 2 years. And the setup of the program is essentially kind of the classic setup for postgraduate programs, with 2 semesters of taught modules, and then in the summer, a research project that students work individually on that we'll come back to in a minute. One thing about the program is that it's accredited with a number of professional institutions, which means that by completing this program, students will have fulfilled the learning requirements to become a chartered engineer. So later in professional life, becoming a chartered engineer is often a key goal for graduate students, because that allows them to progress with their professional career and also to kind of take on more senior roles in industry. So having undergone and having gone through a program like ours, which is accredited, will provide you with this basis for chartership. Just a little bit about myself. So I look after this program here in Queen's. I'm a geologist or hydrogeologist. I did my PhD in Switzerland and then came here over to Ireland, first as a researcher, worked a little bit in industry down in Dublin, and then came back in Queen's and have been looking after this program for a number of years now. So to come back to the program itself, as I said, there's some elective modules on this program. So it's a combination of a number of core modules that all students are supposed to take. And then there's a range of elective modules that students can choose from to make up the rest of the taught element of the program. And the range of modules, we come to look at them in a minute, kind of reflects the breadth, the range of the environmental engineering discipline. So there's lots to choose from, lots of things that we will cover. So it helps to kind of tailor to the interests of the students who come onto the program, which come from different backgrounds, as I said before. So often we have maybe half and half of students on the program that either come from an engineering background or from an earth environmental science background. We also have a mixture of students that come straight from their undergraduate degree, their bachelor degree, onto this master's program. And then we also have students who have worked in industry, decided that they wanted to have this postgraduate qualification as well to maybe help them advance in their profession, in their job. And so they come back to do the program either as full-time, taking a year out, or as a part-time, alongside still working in a company, for example. So we have full-time and part-time students, which makes all in all a nice mix across the year. So when you're doing your group work and you're doing your project work with your fellow students, there's often different experiences and different backgrounds coming together, which will help to make a nice rounded program and help to kind of students to learn from each other as well, not just from the academics, of course. And the modules that we do offer also reflect the kind of research that goes on in our school. So most of these modules are informed by ongoing research projects, live research projects that are run by our academics, our teachers. And also a lot of the projects that we do for the dissertation, which happens over the summer, are aligned with these research projects. So you might be working on a dissertation project alongside other postdoctoral or PhD students and academics as part of a bigger research project, for example. Okay. So the kind of skills that we talk about relate to the understanding of land and water quality, assessing environmental impacts, hydrology and hydrogeology, so the watery side of things, renewable energy, and environmental modeling is also part of this program. So the kind of modules that we offer, for example, in the coming year, is, as I said before, a range of core modules here listed at the top. So these are the modules that all the students will have to do. So these are 4 modules plus the dissertation project, which is part of the MSc pathway. And then you can see in the elective modules, there's a range of modules that students can choose from, typically 3 or 4, depending on the credits that are associated with the individual modules, that range from things around renewable energies to more technical things around water and wastewater treatment, things to do with sustainability and mitigating climate change, or also GIS and spatial analysis as a very useful tool for dealing with spatial and environmental data in all kinds of contexts as part of an environmental engineering discipline and professional practice. Okay, so there's a whole range of things that can be tailored individually to the interest of the student. The modules themselves are typically a combination of lectures where you kind of have a lecture setting with an academic kind of introducing new content, then tutorials where you kind of work on examples and problems together with the academics and with your peers in a group or individually. And then also we try and do as much as possible practical field sessions, for example, working in the field, doing some data collection with different methods for the different modules, including site visits to industrial live projects and things like that. And also bring in a lot of industry partners into the lectures to kind of make the lectures themselves also more up to date with what's currently industry practice and learn about some case studies and things like that. The assessment on the project, on the program is 100% continuously assessed. That means there are no end of the year examinations where you sit in a big hall on your little table with the exam script, but you're doing a lot of coursework and assignments, not a lot, but you're doing those coursework and assignments throughout the semesters. So there's no big surprises at the end when you're sitting in exam. You already know as you go through the semester how you're doing. You get feedback on your assessment, and the academics and instructors will help you with your assessments as we go through the semester. These semesters are typically 12 weeks each. So in the winter, it runs from September to Christmas, and then from January to just after Easter, around April, May time. And in terms of the timetable, what we're trying to do is we're trying to condense the lectures and the sessions on a few number of days in the week, typically 2 to 3, so that especially for those students who join us as part-time students, it makes it a little bit more easy for them to join us, to take a day off and come to campus to sit in the sessions. And also, we like to avoid students having to come on campus just for the one lecture on the one day, but when they do come, then they have a full program of things to do during the day, and then other days there's more flexibility in terms of nothing is formally scheduled. So that kind of is the taught element, the modules. The dissertation project is also a big part of the MSc program. So these are research projects that students will work individually on for a number of months, 3 to 4 months in the summer. Often these dissertation projects are great for kind of bringing you on a pathway to maybe what you want to work at. So for example, the taught modules will give you a kind of a broad basis for working in the profession and in the discipline. And then if you have a particular interest, it's often useful to maybe choose your dissertation project in that area, because when it comes to job interviews and talking to possible employers, the dissertation project is also something that often is easy to talk about and kind of demonstrate your capabilities and kind of gear yourself towards a certain area that you want to get into. Our dissertation projects for the program are typically offered by our colleagues here in Queens, academics, but also we do a lot of projects with outside people from other research agencies and institutions, environmental agencies, protection agencies, all these people, and of course industry partners, consultancies and contractors and things like that. Of course, students can also propose their own project, and we will try and facilitate that if they have an idea. But what I will also do is I will collate a number of proposals for projects at the beginning of semester 2. That would be at the start of the new year. And then students will have an opportunity to pick from that. So they can talk then with the supervisors that are proposing those projects, see if that's something they would like to do, and submit their preferred choices. And typically the first choices will allocate them to the students. So it's not that we tell you what to do, but you choose your dissertation project either from a list of proposals that we give to you, or you can come up with your own idea and we make that work. These dissertation projects will then run from June to September. And typically in a given year, half of the project at least are typically completed with people from outside, with industry people. And that's often a good way of getting a foot in the door for employment, getting a good idea of the industry practice and all that. But of course, if you're more interested in a more research environment, you can also do a project with some people from the university itself. These are just some recent examples for projects that we ran in the past year. So these are with different companies, for example, Northern Ireland Water, different consultancies, water treatment companies, environmental protection agencies, and so forth. So this is just a small list of examples. So typically what I'm trying to do is to provide a list of projects as proposals, maybe 2 or 3 times as many projects as we have students. So there's a good choice for students to pick from. And then we will guide you through the project and supervise you through the project together with either outside people or with people from inside Queens that are proposing those projects. When it comes to our graduates and employment for the graduates, typically the picture is really positive. I mean, our program has been around for a number of years, and a lot of people who work in the industry now may have come through this program, and there's quite a few who are now in senior positions in engineering companies and consultancies in the UK and also abroad. So they know this program, and when you apply, they are familiar with what the program is all about. And that's often a good starting point to get into a conversation and secure a job, for example. The expertise of environmental engineers is in great demand. So, for example, in the current year, our graduates have already secured employment again, and this is the same picture usually every year, that even before it comes to the dissertation project in the summer, and especially before people even graduate, they have a job lined up to kind of take them on from after completing the program. So this is typically what happens with our program and our graduates. And the kind of typical employment that our graduates move into is often with civil engineering and environmental engineering consultancies or specialized contractors that work on environmental aspects of the built environment or natural environment. Or we have also students who work with regulatory agencies, the Environment Agency, Environmental Protection Agency in the south of Ireland, other agencies and government bodies. And then a small number of students, admittedly, also might continue with research and join us maybe as PhD students, or join other universities as PhD students coming from our program. There's a whole range of things that you can do with a degree in environmental engineering from Queen's.